Putting. Little Tykes. All right. That's the
best kind.
You guys are muted. Nobody learned their lesson last week. You guys are muted for eternity in this open until it finishes. And now
that's terrible. Unbelievable. I can't believe you would mute us. That's half the joy of this.
That's the best part of this.
Who's a fan of Monday golf on the PGA Tour?
Me.
Were you working from home today or what?
I'm off right now. Chris, do you remember back in the day you used to check to see if golf balls were good by going like this?
Yeah, I still do it, and people look at me like I'm an idiot.
I still do it purely because you do it
too.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I don't know where we got that from. I was like,
it's to,
does anyone else out there do that? That
one didn't sound good. That's not a Pro V.
No,
the funny thing is,
this has got a hollow core. It's new technology. It's all air.
Oh, so it's like the ball that I hit off my daughter's forehead.
It's a little Tykes golf ball. That's
you
why
guys,
it's so big.
Really
That's
liked
regulation sized.
Guys, I was sitting at work and I had two dogs in the fight with Hovland and Berger. I don't want to talk about how they finished. You know how they finished. And I couldn't work.
Got a fight.
I mean, how many people out there couldn't work? And I was staring at the TV screen, staring at my phone, and I could not focus on work. I guess I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, no, finishing on a Monday is a little bit rough, man. I'm super lucky because I was home on vacation, but getting work done. So I actually I almost killed myself in the garage trying to watch on my phone, climbing on a ladder. But, I mean, they did what they had to do, right? I mean, to get it in. But, no, I do not want this to become the norm.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of nice. I had it, going on my iPad kind of passively while I was cranking away some work stuff. And then, while my stuff would be processing, I'd get a little engaged, leaderboard watch, see a few shots, ooh and ah, and then bounce back to work. And then, every once in a while, I had the volume down low, but every once in a while I'd catch something out of the corner of my eye and be like, oh my gosh. But it was well timed with the finish being, after work was over. So you caught the final few holes. What cost me is I was on dinner duty tonight, so I'm over there making dinner and still got my iPad going, kind of doing this. Luckily, I didn't burn anything, but I kind of liked finishing on a Monday. Give me something to look forward to.
Was I alone thinking how ridiculous Cam Smith played today on both sides of the spectrum? The dude made 10 birdies, okay?
Yep.
And if you look at this stat on the right side of your screen, this was his second start since the second week of January. He missed the cut at the Sony. He was middle of the pack at the Genesis. Hadn't played on tour in well over a month. And this guy's going to make 10 birdies in the final round, 24 on the weekend, on the entire week. He's gonna make all three of those bogeys at the end of that front nine and supposed to crumble. And you're saying, oh man, he's got so many hard holes in front of him. What's he going to do? How many balls in the water is he going to hit? By the way, on 17, he pushed that thing at least 15 yards right. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at least 10 for sure. He was going for just that little ridge in the middle, safe play right over the bunker, and maybe have it spin right or feed right a little bit. But the dude is silky smooth. And I think he's one of those guys that he just plays well when he's got nothing else to think about. Like, I don't know if you guys caught, but his mom and sister were in for Australia.
Right.
He wasn't even really, I mean, of course he was going to play, but he said priority one was hanging out with them because he hadn't seen him in 2 years.
Crazy.
And then he goes and wins this tournament. Unbelievable. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. He's definitely on my radar now. I mean, the guy's golf or putting stroke is insane, man. It is just, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
I mean, he's a robot. How many pressure-packed putts? And I know every winner makes a ton of pressure-packed putts. I sat there saying, he's got to miss eventually. He's got to miss eventually. Time after time, Mike kept on making the putts. And here's where I was most impressed. He hit some bad shots today.
Oh.
I mean, like that duck hook on 16 is like
those
what you
tee
and I
balls
would do.
Were bad.
Like 150 yards
hook.
off the tee, ducked right into the woods. He made a better score on 16 than half the field did today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when you have his short game, his finesse 50 yards in, and then that silky smooth putting stroke Ty just mentioned, you can get away with a lot of that stuff. I mean, we all know scores come from 100 yards in, and when your short game's great, it doesn't take much to get your putter hot. And I think he rode that to victory. Don't get me wrong. He had some remarkable iron shots on the front and even, a couple down the stretch, but it was really 50 yards and in that I think set him apart. I'll go
For
60
sure.
yards and in, since I think his last shot on 18 there with all the
Was
pressure on
like
was 57
59,
yards.
yeah.
But
I mean,
Yeah, that was incredible.
that was the cherry on top. He did that all day. He went from, and he looked like he was nervous as crap. I mean, that
sure he was.
He had no intentions of the ball going that far on that second shot punch.
No.
Can you imagine the nerves that this guy had when he knows he's up by 2? He's got to make a par. He didn't know what Lahiri was going to do behind him. Imagine how
he's nails, man.
I know. Imagine how nervous he was hitting that shot to where he did, and that was not luck. The shot on 17, you could say was luck. It was actually more being smart, knowing that he could miss it to the right, and
that's exactly what 17 was.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think there's nails. That's what he is, man. I mean, he showed up. We've talked about in the podcast. We grew up becoming so accustomed to Tiger grabbing the lead and holding it. Not to say he had the lead and held it, but he didn't wilt even after. I mean, I would have crumbled if I would have snap hooked one of those. I probably would have started crying. I mean, but
half the guys in that situation would have made an 8 on 16. Half the guys would have.
Yeah. Well, I don't think half of those guys would have been in position to be in the tournament at 16 after the way he ended the front 9, right? A lot of people would have crumbled there. But not Cam, man. He climbed right back in it. But while we're talking about being nails, though, I know he didn't hold on to get the win, but Bond was pretty great today for a guy ranked so far back in the world with, a lot of expectations on him a few years ago. And then, it couldn't have been tough. I mean, it couldn't have been easy to be where he was today. And he was pretty steady all day, right? Like it took Cam going nuts to beat him. So kudos to Bond.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That was an awesome showing that I think is going to get lost in this story.
Because he played some pretty good golf a couple of years ago. I mean, Anubhav Lahiri was having top 10s after top 10s. He was either 2 or 3 years ago. They had mentioned he got COVID last year and had like 104-degree temperature and had to go to the hospital, and he had to basically battle back to be good on the course again. I mean, that's the kind of story that you love to root for. But you guys, we were staring in the face. If you're in golf betting pools, right? We're staring in the face $3.6 million for a winner. Basically a major championship winner's cut for runner-up, $2.3 million for runner-up. In third place gets what, 1.2, 1.3?
Yeah, that's like a regular win there.
These people who picked Cameron Smith, holy crap. Morikawa, Hovland, all of them were such big picks. But here's the thing about Cam Smith, guys. Do you realize he was still a top 10 player in the world? And he's the third straight top 10 player in the world to win the Players' Championship? He was on almost nobody's radar this week. That's why I was so impressed that Cam Smith, you could say he came out of nowhere, because his putting was incredible when you thought he was going to fold on every big putt. After every single big bad shot he hit, he didn't fold. He came into this tournament playing like he was the 40th best player in the world. Let's be honest.
Maybe if you look at his last couple of starts.
What do you say, Mike?
I think that's a pretty hot take, Chris. I mean, you're forgetting he shot like 200 under at the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, but you'll agree with me that the Tournament of Champions is a little different than any other event on tour.
It's different than any other event, but it also has, 30 people who won the previous year, and 8 of the guys in the top 10, and he went out there and just dominated. Yeah, it's an easier course, but I don't to say he came out of nowhere. I just think that's a little bit of a hot take. His last couple starts were mediocre.
I'm not turning my light down here. Let me say, when I say come out of nowhere, you should see how many people picked top 9 players in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, look at any pool; they all picked them, and then you got 1 or 2 guys picking Cam Smith like it's a throwaway. Like, oh, Cam Smith's not going to win, but I might as well pick him because no one's going to pick him, and nobody picked him.
Yeah, he's also from there. This is his home course, but he hasn't done very well there in the past. But so, Chris, I think this is my thought. Maybe I fell victim to this, and I don't know if anyone else did, but I think the rankings at the beginning of the year, I think we all want to kind of throw them away because the big names don't play early in the year, right? They don't seem to be as prevalent.
And
They
now is when they're trying to tune up.
Right. And we all thought, I mean, I think everyone thought, okay, this is when people are going to show up, right? This is when the big names are going to start to rise to the top. And then the rest of the year,
Lowry
that's
and
why
JT the last 2 times with the players.
Yeah, you save the big names for later in the year. But I don't know. I think golf is changing, right? And I think there's a changing of the guard here. And I'm good with it. It's keeping me on my toes because half these guys, I mean, I got to look to figure out who they are. But yeah, I think that's partly why there's a little bit of surprise there.
That brings us to next week then. So
oh boy,
you guys, we still have a lot of top players playing this week at the Valspar. You realize that?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Hovland, you've got JT, I think you got half of the top 10 in the world are turning around. It's not a very far trip from Jacksonville to Tampa, but they're turning around and they're going to play in the Valspar. So Tyler, what you're saying about you got to kind of rethink about when you're picking guys. I don't know what to do this week. Do you? I mean, I might go with a guy who's 60th in the world. I might pick Justin Thomas. I don't know.
I think that's the thing. You got to find something else outside of just pure luck of whether it's a storyline or you got to go into the analytics and figure out, what the course means to them. But I don't know. I mean, if you're going alphabetically, well, Keegan Bradley's interesting.
Well, he played well here last year, and I saw somewhere some people were really hot on Keegan Bradley this week. The dude came out of nowhere, so somebody.
That was a surprise for me. Anyone who saw that coming, that was the dark horse to me this week.
Yeah, I also think that this week was a classic example of why you have to throw out analytics. There's a reason why people weren't picking Cam Smith. Nobody saw his incredible putting coming. They probably just looked at the fact that he played twice in the last 2 months with not really good results outside of the Century of Champions, Mike, I know. This is a classic example of, okay, I want to pick the guy who's going to have shots gained approach and the guy who's driving the ball straight. That's who I'm going to pick. Well, Cameron Smith didn't really hit the ball that straight this week, guys. He was a struggle bus yesterday.
Can I say something though here real quick? I think the reason you have to throw out analytics is not because they don't mean anything. It's because of the way the weather hit. So
that's what I was going to say.
A lot of the guys that are fantastic with their shot gains approach, they were playing in the gale storms on Saturday, just trying to get their first and second rounds in. So
clearly.
So why the analytics maybe didn't speak so loudly this year? It's not because they're worthless. It's more so they had the no pun intended perfect storm of situation there at Ponte Vedra this year.
When I say worthless, I should rephrase that. If you've got a player that you want to pick who's, let's say he's middle of the pack on the tour, let's say he's like 100th in approaching the green or 100th in driving or chipping or putting, I don't think you should be afraid of picking those guys. It's when somebody gets down in the 200s and they're way down there in multiple rankings is when you shouldn't pick somebody. But I think picking somebody just because they're a top 10 ball strikers is not the way to go. And this week was a classic example.
Well, I mean, I don't know the stats on Lahiri, but I mean, he couldn't have been out there, right?
No.
I mean, I don't know if his stats
Cam
are any
Smith
good.
was either. In fact, let me look up Cam Smith.
Do that. I honestly, I think I got to do some more research on the course and figure out, where the nugget is with this weekend. But yeah, I'm surprised the big names that are out for the Valspar. Dustin Johnson, also a good idea. Sorry,
man,
Mike.
he was hot today.
Did you see him? He held out an eagle on number 9. He shot a 63. Guys.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Cam Smith is top 10 strokes gains approach and top 10 putting. I think that's a recipe for success.
I have it pulled up.
Shane Lowry.
So off the tee is 147th. He's losing almost half a shot off the tee, which around a place like that really doesn't matter that much. Approaching the green 6th. Around the green 21st, and on the green 3rd. That's after the play. That's after the players though. He gained 3 shots on the field putting each day.
Yeah, that's
someone going to pick Harold Varner soon.
I think he's got his one lifetime win in Saudi already taken care of.
So
No.
if we're throwing out random names,
Well, yeah.
okay. Look
Throwing out
at
random
this
names.
stat. Look at this graphic. Would you take a chance on two old timers who historically play well at the Valspar? Would you take a chance on Paul Casey, who's won there recently?
Never.
Who basically nobody picked at the Players this week, whose game is probably in better shape than we want to admit. And then there's Louis Oosthuizen, okay, who you're never going to have any idea where to pick Louis, because Louis and Justin Thomas are the two guys I feel like you could pick them anywhere and you are just rolling a dice because they might win, get second, or they might miss the cut. Louis played well here. He was playing pretty well at the Players for most of the week. He kind of crumbled on Sunday and a little bit throughout the weekend in the weather. These are two guys that I might take a look at, taking a chance on if you want to be different this week and get back in your bets for the Valspar.
Yeah, all you're trying to do is drive us away from success with those, Chris. So don't even. Nice try.
But no, but really, I can see what you're saying with Louis. You think so on Paul Casey too?
I think Louis will crush Paul Casey this week, if we're being honest. I mean, I think a lot of the guys that finished high aren't going to fare so well at the Valspar. That was an exhausting week.
You're right about that.
And I, not to keep talking about it, but Justin Thomas, his round of 3 under bogey free was heroic. Maybe he was just 2 under.
Oh,
I think
a compliment for JT.
I know.
Wow.
And what he do?
That
He
was
turned around
maybe
and
the
blew it
best
after
round
that.
of the
So you can
year
talk about that.
so far. But I think that made him so mentally exhausted that's why he just faded after that. Like you thought the way he was hitting the ball, he's like, all right, he's gonna have a shot, and then he came out hot out of the gates, I think in the 3rd round, and then he faded hard. I imagine that was just fatigue setting in, because the way that weather was and the wind was, he had to have been working so hard, both mentally and physically, to do what he did. And I think the same can be said about anyone that finished up high, and that was pretty emotional. Paul Casey getting a big paycheck. I don't expect him to do anything at the Valspar.
Okay, so
wise words by Mike. I agree with
you both think that the majority, and there'll be somebody at the Valspar who played well this week who will play well next week. It's bound to happen. But do you think staying away from most of those guys who had exhausting rounds at the Players and were trying to win at the end and had to deal with all those elements, don't pick them this week?
Well,
because here's my next one.
Yeah. See, but he's built different, right? I mean, I think because he just keeps hanging around and hanging around.
He's due.
But this is just another situation where you throw everything. You throw the. Huh?
No, keep going. You throw away. Go ahead. Mike can talk after.
You throw everything out because it's Monday, right? They finished on a Monday.
Yeah.
So who knows how much rest people are going to need and what they're going to get. And before I pass it over to Mike, you guys, playing golf in inclement weather sucks.
It's hard.
It's terrible. It is so hard.
Justin Thomas hit a 6-iron into 17 from 135 yards.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How
and then they turn around.
Discipline does it take to do that?
I mean, just to know what to hit in that wind.
Absolutely.
I think, was he the first one to hit the green? Like, I forget where he fell into that sequence. But
I watched.
That was something else.
I watched diligently on, it was a Saturday morning when they all, Mike, you texted, you said everyone's hitting it in the water on 17. Koepka, Scheffler, Schauffele, all missed the green by a wide margin. And then I believe Rory luckily didn't miss the green right after that. Justin Thomas was the first one to hit the green because Colin Morikawa also missed the green. So 5 of the top 6 players in the world in 2 groups missed the green. 135 yards out.
That's so excusable, though.
It was. I'd never seen. It was fun to watch. I mean, like you say, Tyler, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I'd be brutal. A mess. It would carry over to this week for sure.
So, Mike, go ahead and go back to your. That's the wrong one.
Oh,
I'm not.
My Hovland was just, dude. Like if that guy could chip even decently, I think he'd have had wins the last 5 of the last 6 events he started.
Yeah, he would have won Bay Hill. I know that.
He would have won today. He would have, like, it's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him diligently because I picked him in my.
What do you do? What do you do if you're his coach? You just tell him start putting from the rough. Like, I mean just.
I mean, honestly,
you know what?
Victor Hovland seems like the kind of guy who he's a professional ball striker, just top of the world in class. But then he goes up to a chip and you feel like he's an average amateur and you have no idea if he's going to get it up or down.
But I figured it out, Christopher, and I'm going to give you maybe a little bit of credit or credence or whatever you want to, what we were talking about last week in terms of you can only get so far, hitting golf balls in your basement on a golf simulator, right? I think Hovland is a perfect example of a guy who grew up in Norway.
Here we go.
Trained himself hitting golf balls on those short days in the garage. And so you have his strokes gains, approach off the tee, right? Stuff you can practice, in a garage, but it's that feel, that finesse where he has those shortcomings.
Right.
I don't know if there's something to that, but
Here
I actually
we go.
thought of
Why
that,
would you do this?
yesterday while I was hitting balls in the basement.
Walked into this.
Hey, I'm just saying, do you guys think there's any connection there between how he grew up and learned the game to why that's his weakness?
I never thought about it, but there's no reason why you're wrong. It's not like he lives in Norway now, but if we're going to be honest about it, all these guys who've been playing their entire life, including Victor Hovland, probably have been working on their short game
their entire
life.
Right.
Victor Hovland, maybe, and he's still a young guy. It's not like he's 35 years old and he's been working in a short game for 20 years.
Right.
You might have something to do there. I don't know if this is going to be my one and done now to Victor Hovland. I'm at a loss this week at the Valspar. Honestly, I think I might pick somebody middle of the pack because I agree with you guys. Coming off the Players Championship, exhaustion. I don't want to say not caring this week, but there's probably a mental side to these players this week where they're like, all right, if I'm not doing that great on Thursday and Friday, it's not the end of the world.
So I haven't done my due diligence, but is there anyone in the Valspar field who, maybe wasn't qualified, but has been having an okay season so far, has been showing signs of life? Maybe someone like a Ricky Fowler, perhaps.
Ricky Fowler's actually not in it this week,
that might be primed and ready to go. He's not playing? Okay.
He's not playing. I did not make the Ricky Roulette graph.
But someone like that, right? Where, they've been doing well. Weren't qualified for the Players, but are in the field.
Gary Woodland,
dig down,
Gary Woodland.
Oh,
that might jump out. He had a great game at the Honda.
There's something about Tommy Fleetwood that just I feel like something good's gonna happen. And when I mean good, I don't mean
go ahead, jump. No, just jump off that and go for it. Davis Love is in the field. Look at this.
Okay, well then
I thought if it was going to happen for Tommy Wood, it was going to happen this week. I thought, if Tommy Fleetwood, Tommy Ladd, if he was gonna get one, it was gonna be this week. Especially since he had that great round Friday, got to sit out the elements. He's a great player and win from his upbringing, and then he was just a disappointment. So I don't think he's close.
All right, well, you guys aren't getting out of this, Tyler. You're not getting out of this. You don't have to do the shot, whatever.
I'll take a penalty drink.
Take a penalty drink of whatever you're drinking right there.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to show that I beat you, and Mike beat you last week when we picked Hovland and you picked Rahm. We can have an hour-long discussion on Rahm at a different date.
He's the world's best. I mean,
are we worried? Are we worried about Rahm? I know we can have an hour-long discussion, but this is just simple yes or no.
No, I just think his game probably is going to take a while to get back. And what I mean by back, I mean doing what the best player in the world does. I think it started to fade 2 months ago, and it's fading even more.
Yeah, but I have a problem with this, right? He's doing better than the.
There's nothing wrong. No. He's playing okay for his standards. He's not. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but he's doing better than the rest of the big names that we're used to. Like, what are the other guys doing? What is Brooks Koepka doing?
Look at Patrick Cantlay. 1 week Cantlay, I get it. Bad weather, probably had a bad week. I truly believe Patrick Cantlay's game is down in the dumps and will continue that way for a little bit. Not long. I think it's kind of like Rahm's, but I think Cantlay's in a worse spot than Rahm is right now. Brooks, you're absolutely right.
Oh, come on. Brooks is in a better spot than Rahm right now. This week aside, Brooks has had better showings than Rahm, in my opinion.
What?
You think Koepka's in a better spot than Rahm right now?
Yeah. His game's in a much better spot. No, he's had great rounds. He's just hasn't put together 4 rounds yet. Rahm's put together 4 rounds of, by Rahm standards,
you could argue that's the problem.
There's something to that.
Or you could argue that he will get it together one day.
Right. And that's where I'm looking at. Like you look at that variability, right? And if they have it together, and then it's kind of mental engagement at that point, which we know Brooks Koepka has that gear no one else seems to have when it comes time for the majors. So I mean, if I'm saying who's going to get a major this year, Jon Rahm or Brooks Koepka?
Well, I'd go
Brooks
Koepka
all day long.
I think courses favor him. Multiple courses probably favor him better than they do Rahm for the 4 majors this year. The reason why I put this graphic up, you guys mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. I'll do a penalty shot bet. I'll take Tommy Fleetwood this week, and you guys collaborate together who you want to be your player, but I have to agree with who it is.
I'll take the field.
How about you take the field making the cut? So Tommy Fleetwood makes the cut this week, I win. If he doesn't, you guys win.
No, that's actually not that bad of a bet.
Fleetwood missing the cut? I think we lost time.
I can see him just not even being close. But let's go.
You're taking Tommy?
For a penalty shot bet, I will take Tommy Fleetwood. You guys collaborate. Who will be your player to go against him?
Is there sympathy here or
no?
what?
Well, I'm not going to agree to Justin Thomas, and I'm not going to agree to Victor Hovland. But you throw me a name that you both agree with, and I will say deal.
Joel Dahmen.
You know what? I anytime he's in the conversation, I'll ride that train. Sure.
Right. Damon versus Louis. Damon versus Tommy.
I can't believe you talked me into that, but you know what?
You didn't have to jump on my bandwagon. We could do a 3-way bet here. Did you guys see the conversation?
Joel, I'm in.
Did you see the conversation?
Burger's drop. It was testy.
Yeah. I thought we were going to throw fisticuffs there for a second.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You could tell in 17, Damon was still a little ticked off because I think Victor Hovland had a ball right on the edge of the fringe, and you could tell Damon was like, "That's not on the green. You can't mark that." Like you could tell he was upset. Like they had some serious words with all 3 of them. Those 2 holes.
Yep.
Golf needs more Damon coverage.
Tyler's saying Damon. Mike, are you in on that or no?
Mike, you don't have to get in there. I just figured I would take another shot. So
I mean, I would take just about anyone over Tommy Fleetwood.
All right, how about I throw out you a random name then?
Is Peter Malnati in the field? My guy?
Peter Malnati.
I'll ride with the Mizzou Tiger if he's in the field.
Chris, I'm not centered in the frame.
You know why you're not? Because you just went to the bottom frame. You messed up your video.
You centered me, though. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
you're not
there we go. Thank you.
All right, hey, guys, before we leave, we're clearly not making picks this week because nobody's prepared and we don't know what to do, including myself. I'm probably going to go with middle of the pack. I agree. Picking a top player this week is not a good idea. Here's what I want to end on, and it's homework, believe it or not.
Homework.
Right? Mike, remember last week we said we were going to change your goals? Remember that?
Well, you're going to talk about my goals. I'm not changing
we're
anything.
not changing them.
Well, I thought we were going to talk about what's realistic. Like, what should you be striving
for?
So here's my idea.
Here we go.
Okay? What is your realistic goal in the course? I have one for you. And it's actually one of my own, and I think it's one that tons of golfers would strive to have. You want to hear it?
So is this my goal my goal for 2022 or is this my goal for 2027? Let's get that straight. 2026.
I would say realistically, this goal would be for you for the next 2 years.
Okay.
So between now and next summer.
Yeah, let's hear what a realistic
This is
goal
great.
is, because
Okay.
to be
And-
clear,
I
my
can't wait.
breaking 70 goal goes through 2026. So maybe I need a
Yes.
short-term goal along my path to get there.
Do you-
I'm
multiple
I'm
stepping
open.
stones.
Does that mean we
Sure.
gotta talk about what you shot at Bay Hill virtually today?
We can talk about it. I got plenty of excuses to justify my 91.
It-
But
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but
Way outside.
each time that I play golf now, I'm happy when I break 80. Would you agree?
yeah,
Sure.
Happy when
For
I break
sure.
80. So why don't we make your goal this? No matter how often you play, how bad you're playing, what your conditions are like, how hard the course is, your goal for the next 2 years should be putting yourself in a position every time you play to break 80. So the 91s and the 92s you're shooting, how can you make it an 82? How can you make it where you have a chance in the final few holes to break 80?
yeah, fantastic. I think my
Great.
round today, my virtual round, translates to like an 83.
So
if
what does
we're
that
being-
look like?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
are the strokes on the course? Where's the preparation and practicing? Where are you practicing? How are you
Yeah.
practicing? That's the homework. How do you get to a
Beautiful.
spot where you are supposed to break 80 every time you play, no matter how bad you're playing?
Christopher, this is fantastic, because this is already part of my path and progression plan and the stats I'm keeping to know where I need to practice.
I can't
Um,
wait to
love
hear
it.
So thank you
Love it.
for
I'd
telling me
like
that
to
I'm
see
on the
those
right
notes.
track.
So
Crushing it.
we're going to talk about this next week then.
Can't wait. Yeah,
I
thank you.
love it.
Chris, get me in the frame. Come on.
Can-
You know what?
can
If
I
the
put
show
Ty
wasn't
on the
live
spot
every
real
week
quick?
and you'd show up before
Oh,
2 minutes
here we
before,
go.
I'm
Throw
gonna
a
keep-
heater, Mike.
I'm gonna put Ty on the spot before we wrap up, because I'm always full of hot takes. Chris, you had a couple hot takes tonight. Ty, give us
Yeah.
one hot take for us to talk through next week regarding what you think will or will not happen this year on the PGA Tour.
On the PGA Tour, I'm looking at the field, see if I can do something for this upcoming week.
Dustin Johnson
hot
will be
take, like,
outside
this
the
is
top
a-
20.
Or something like Bryson
Dustin
DeChambeau will not
or-
have another PGA Tour start, or
I think
spit some fire at
Brooks
us.
Koepka will miss. Brooks Koepka, right? One of my favorite golfers. I think of the majors we have here.
Yeah.
I think he misses the cut in two, and he doesn't compete in the other.
So you're saying the opposite of what I just said about him and Ron.
Absolutely, I've lost all
Hot
faith.
take.
You've lost.
take.
Hot
Hey,
take.
when Tyler Morgan has lost his faith in Brooks Koepka, that's when you know it's time to say goodnight.
So
Game over.
we should probably say goodnight, but I'm also
Heartbreaking.
curious if maybe we're going to rename your son Cam.
No,
or
he
something
wasn't
like
named
that
after
today.
frickin' Brooks Koepka. All right, I didn't name him after. Unbelievable.
Sounds like a
Sign
debate
off,
is
Chris.
season, brother.
Sounds like a
This is
debate
getting-
for another week.
Getting aggressive.